Hello, I am Max, and you're watching Cool Stuff in Weird Cars, and it is time for my annual end-of-year video thing. For the last couple of years, I have done a video at the end of every year, I think, even including last year. Just basically going over what happened in the previous year and what my plans are for the next year. And this year wasn't incredibly spectacular, I won't lie. In total, I uploaded probably less than 30 videos this year. Like, I went months, but I uploaded a very small amount of videos this year. I feel like this was kind of a recharge year. I've posted a lot of videos in the year before, and the year before that, and I think that I don't know. I needed a little bit of a break, I guess you could call it. It wasn't really necessarily an actual break because, of course, I was continuously uploading things throughout the entire year. Kind of. Like I said, there were, a few times where it was like a month or a month and a half or even 2 months between a video and the next video. And I can't say that it was a good thing or a bad thing necessarily. I kind of regret not uploading more because, oddly enough, my channel's been very, very, very consistent with growth, even over this year, which is surprising to me. Thank you all for subscribing as well. But I think this next year is going to be about consistency. Because right now, like this year was just kind of, I got everything together. I got, I've had a camera set up. I actually have the exact same camera set up, the suction cup mount, the same tripods as I've always had. Well, not always, but for the past couple of years I've had. I still have all that because I barely used it this year, so nothing really had the opportunity to break necessarily. But I have better internet. I have, a job that gives me a little bit more money to travel or buy things with. Just, say if I want to buy parts for my car or whatever, I can do that more easily now. That is a Saturn relay with aftermarket LED fog lights. That's not something you see every day. This year, I'm going to focus on consistency, and that is going to be relating to my upload schedule, hopefully. Still with this, I don't really have all the time in the world, of course, because I still have said job that I was talking about just a second ago. I can't really just go ahead and quit that yet because I definitely do not make enough money to live off of just doing this. And I probably won't for a while still. But I'm gonna try and use as much of my free time as I can, like weekends and even like after work some days, maybe try and find dealerships that are open or something, or do something shortly after work because it'll be light out for another couple of hours. Try and figure out something, at least one video per week, maybe more if I can make that happen. I don't really think I will be able to, but we never know. So I've worked this year on just all that stuff, and also like I have better internet so I can actually upload things in a decent amount of time. My computer is better so I can just edit things easier, get videos out quicker, because some of these videos, like the half-hour long review videos in 4K, which is still what I want to do because of course I'm always about that quality, as you know. Some of those videos would take 6 to 8 hours to export, and then they'd take 4 or 5 hours at least to upload. So it wasn't like I was going to get a video out in a day easily. So that should be a lot better. God, I'm seeing all kinds of interesting stuff. Pontiac Sunbird convertible with a body kit. Wow, that is something right there. So let's talk about numbers, I guess. Even though I've done really good at not really caring / looking at my channel analytics for the past few months, because honestly, earlier in the year, that's what really just kind of stopped me. I'm like, why am I doing this if, YouTube isn't showing my videos to people or whatever, which is still true, but I'm just to the point now where I don't care. I think we started this year with like 5,000 subscribers, maybe 5,500, somewhere around there. And then we're at almost 8,000, which is pretty good. It's about the same, like I said, it's about consistent growth with what I've had before. But I'm glad that it has continued to grow even with my lack of uploading. And I feel like it's good that it's continued growing because it'll still, I still feel good about being able to grow the channel into something more in the future too. We're just gonna focus on getting stuff up and letting nature take its course from there. Let's go over some of the things that happened over the past year. Specifically, I could probably name like all the things that have happened over this year. So, started off the year, and this car had, this Lexus LS400, 94 Lexus LS400, had, I think, just passed 160,000 miles right at the beginning of January this year. Right now it has 173,411, so I've driven about 13,000 miles, which isn't really a lot, but that's probably because I was working at Walmart whenever I started this year, and I, worked at Walmart for half the year, and Walmart was like 5 miles away from where I live, so it was like super short driving distance every day, and I didn't drive any more than that because like I would wake up just early enough to go to work, and then drive home, and then to do like stuff on my computer for the night. I didn't really drive anywhere other than going to Walmart, so that's why I think the amount I've driven was so low. Plus I also, later in January, about middle of January somewhere, I bought, or didn't buy, but I traded my old Ford Ranger for my current 96 Dodge Ram. Had 126,000 miles on it when I bought it, or got it, and it has 130, actually just passed 136,000 a day or two ago. So I've driven that almost 10,000 miles, which is not bad, but you can consider that I drove literally 2,000 miles in a weekend with it when I drove to New York City, which I'll talk about in a second. So not incredibly impressive. Let's go back to January. So I got the truck. Actually, before that, the weekend, I think it was a weekend before I got the truck, I drove to Chicago, and Zach from Shooting Cars reviewed my car, this Lexus LS400, and I reviewed his Pontiac G6. That video's, of course, still up. Not incredibly popular, but I didn't really figure it would be because it was just not too great of a video of a base model Pontiac G6, so I was like, it's probably not going to do that well. I mean, it's okay though. It's gotten a few hundred views, I think, or maybe close to 1,000 by now. But we did that. That was pretty cool. I drove the car up there, drove it back. Got to explore Chicago a little bit, which was nice. I hadn't actually been in the downtown area of Chicago before then, so that was kind of cool. But yeah, fast forward a little bit. I think in February was when I did the review of my Ram, which is quite a few views now, which is awesome. I think it's also my longest review I've ever made. It's like 33 minutes long, I think. Yeah, it's either that or this that's the longest. I don't remember which one it is. Somewhere around there, I was messing with my Chrysler TC by Maserati. We cut the exhaust off because I thought the catalytic converter was plugged, which was why it was running bad. Wasn't. So that was a waste. So that car sat in front of my house and didn't run hardly at all for 4 months. Sat outside, of course, because later on, after that, was when, or wait, no, that was beforehand, I think. I definitely moved it to the garage space that I have now sometime this year. I don't remember specifically. I'd have to actually look at the videos and the upload dates. But that car has done almost nothing. Of course, we put a piece of exhaust back on it, so it actually has an exhaust now. But of course, the timing belt's going out, and needs sparkle wires and stuff like that. So that should be a project I should be getting onto sometime in the next couple of months, I hope. We'll see though. I need to buy the parts, and expensive. But yeah, so other than that, I've just made a bunch of little random videos, updates on my cars or whatever. And that's been the theme of this year. It's just been kind of simple stuff, and I've just been trying to get by, and I think I did it fairly okay. Of course, as I mentioned, there wasn't really anything spectacular that happened this year, so nothing really to talk about. But I did drive to Atlanta, which was cool. Didn't actually upload the videos from Atlanta, which I drove down there in May. Didn't upload the videos until August, September, I think it was, maybe even later. It wasn't that long ago whenever I actually finally got around to making the videos. I would like to do that again. Not entirely sure if I'm going to do it this year. And then also, I drove my truck to New York City, which was pretty cool. I had to help, or I didn't have to help a friend move, but I wanted to help my friend move up there. So we hopped in my Ram and drove 1,000 miles there to Brooklyn, New York, and then I drove 1,000 miles back by myself in a 23-year-old truck that's rusty and definitely is not in the best of conditions. So that was fun. It was actually a lot of fun, honestly. The theme, I also, random note, for this year, I want to do lots of road trips. I'm already actually planning to either, depending on how I feel beforehand, I'm either going to drive this car, the LS400, or I'm going to trailer my TC by Maserati with the Ram down to Austin, Texas for the Radwood Austin event, which is in February. I don't know which is going to happen. I think it's probably going to be this car, but if something, if I just decide, hey, out of nowhere, I want to trailer my car down there, because I still want to be the first one to have a 16-valve Chrysler TC by Maserati at a Radwood event. That's like a life goal of mine. So I don't know, we'll see whenever we get there. But I'm definitely planning on doing the trip no matter what. So we're doing lots of road trips. Like I said, I'm actually planning on going up to Chicago at some point to have Zach, Shooting Cars, review my Ram, because he said, whenever I got it, he was like, man, that'd be cool to make a video of, because he used to have a 98 Ram 1500 Sport single cab 2-wheel drive, if I remember right. And it was an automatic 360 truck, and mine's a 318 with a 5-speed. So he's like, hey, that'd be kind of cool to review, probably compare it to his old one and stuff. And so that'll be probably sometime in January, maybe January, February. I would like to go to Radwood Austin. That'd be pretty cool. I'd like to go to like all the Radwood events, honestly, but my bank account doesn't say yes to that quite yet. Maybe the year after, maybe 2021, I will be able to go to every Radwood event, drive a car to every Radwood event. That's like another life goal of mine, is to do that. So yeah, we'll try and figure that out. Of course, I'm going to be going all over Missouri. I always do. Kansas City, I've been to a bunch of times, and Central Missouri, and whatever. I'll try and find some interesting stuff to do with that, just because it's, within my state. I like Missouri, kind of. I don't hate it, I'll put it that way. I don't like living next to St. Louis, but I don't mind the rest of Missouri itself. Kansas City also isn't that great, but oh well. But we're going to be doing lots of road trips. There'll be more to come in the later on in the year, especially depending on, of course, how much money I have at the time. That will be a big deciding factor of what and when and how I do road trips. But speaking of road trips, one thing I would like to do, and this is very, very early in the planning stages, is a kind of a show here on YouTube, like Roadkill was before they moved to being behind a paywall, which of course I finally succumbed to because they had a $1 per month thing. So I was like, yeah, I'll watch Roadkill for $1 per month. I still like Roadkill, but I just didn't want to pay to watch it. But something that isn't behind a paywall, but also something that wouldn't have an entire crew of people working on it. But basically, I want to make some sort of a show that's kind of Roadkill-ish. I don't know how to explain it quite yet, because it's very, like I said, it's very, very early on planning. I just think it would be cool, and I can probably make it happen, because I have at least a little bit of experience with trying to make videos, getting all kinds of angles and stuff. Just the actual recording and editing wise stuff, I've had a good amount of experience with, from working at the car dealership to just doing my own thing here. And I will probably be looking for someone to kind of co-host on some of those as well, at least some of them. And I know a few people around my area that I have to just reach out to and ask, and we'll see kind of what goes on, because, you know, it's just basically be like, buy a crappy old car, do a road trip in it, you know, do some modifications or something to it or whatever. Just simple stuff, nothing too crazy quite yet, because I can't really afford crazy yet. But I think it would be interesting, and it wouldn't be behind a paywall. At least I would try my hardest to make it not be behind a paywall. There's other ways to do it, you know, have a Patreon, be like, oh, you get to watch this video or this episode of whatever this show's called 2 weeks early or something if you become a patron or whatever. Speaking of which, I do have a Patreon. I know it's kind of silly to ask about this because I've uploaded a total of like 20 videos this year, but I do have a Patreon. Down in the description below. I think it's still in the description. But yeah, so that's a big plan for this year, is to try and figure that out. Who knows when or how or if it's going to happen this year, but we're going to try no matter what. And that's really most of what I have to talk about. Of course, things will change. You know, I will admit that I'm probably like, here's the thing, content is not really going to change all too much. You know, there's gonna be car reviews and various other things like working on my cars and whatever. But of course, things may change. The way I present myself may change, which if you know, you know. And if not, you can check out the other channel that I have linked in the description below if you're curious of what the hell I'm talking about with that. But things might change, but we're just gonna keep going. We're gonna be doing automotive stuff, and we're gonna be having fun with it. So, goals for next year: work on a show, be more consistent, just have fun, really. Find more fun stuff to do. Do more of what I want to do. Do more road trips. Do more, you know, old weird car stuff. Stuff like that. So, thank you all so much for a better 2019 than I was expecting on this channel. I apologize again for my end not being as great, but we're gonna make it work. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'm out of here. See ya.